Officer Steingraeber, can you please state your full name and spell your last name?
Yes, sir. My name is Mitchell T. Steingraeber, Steingraeber.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a police officer for the Wisconsin State Capitol Police.
And how long have you been employed by the State Capitol Police?
Approximately 24 years.
Do you know a person by the name of Irving Smith?
Yes, sir.
And how do you know him?
I know him from the activities that take place around the Capitol. He's a participant in many, and I've had a number of contacts with him during that period of time.
Is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Where is he seated and what is he wearing?
He's seated to the right of Mr. Jambois. He's wearing a Wart t-shirt, gray in color, and has a beard and glasses.
Your Honor, may the record reflect identification of the defendant? Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It will. Officer Steingraeber, were you working on November 8th, 2012?
Yes, sir.
And can you describe for the court what your general duties were that day?
My general duties for that date was to, at that period of time, was to monitor the activities in the Capitol Rotunda.
Is the state capitol in the city of Madison, Dane County, Wisconsin?
Yes, sir.
And what agency has the responsibility for managing the grounds of the state capitol?
Department of Administration. And the State Capitol Police provides the security services.
Can you describe what was happening at the Capitol Rotunda on approximately 1 o'clock p.m. on the date in question, November 8th, 2012?
Approximately 1 o'clock p.m., there was a group of people that call themselves the Solidarity Singers singing in the Capitol, and they had ended their singing for the day, and they had sang their last song, and they were dispersing from the Rotunda area.
Were there any other groups in the Capitol Rotunda at that time?
Yes, sir. There were school groups coming in to begin tours that begin at 1 p.m. customarily every day, business day.
Approximately how many students were in the area at that time?
My estimation was between 80 and 100.
Approximately what grade level were the students?
I believe they were fourth graders.
Did you see Mr. Smith that day?
Yes, sir.
Where was Mr. Smith located in relationship to the school group?
Mr. Smith was in the inner circle of the Rotunda area, near between the exits of State Street and Wisconsin Avenue.
How far away from the students was Mr. Smith?
The students pretty much had occupied the whole inner part of the Rotunda, and Mr. Smith was anywhere from 15 feet at times to 5 feet from the students.
How far away from Mr. Smith were you?
I was probably 25 to 30 feet away.
Did Mr. Smith say anything?
Yes, he did.
Can you say what Mr. Smith said?
He yelled across the Rotunda, my rights are being violated, I need a police officer, and my access passage is being blocked.
Now, can you say what Mr. Smith said on that day in the same way Mr. Smith said it on November 8th, 2012?
Yes, sir. Can I qualify it a little?
Sure.
Can I say that with all of those students, there's a very high volume of noise, and I could very clearly hear Mr. Smith yell and say, my rights are being violated.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is speaking into a microphone.
I understand. I understand. Objections, I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to let him do what he's going to do. I'm
But
sure
what
he
I was-
can't possibly do exactly what Mr. Smith did, but he's trying to convey the sense of it, so.
Yes, and what I would just propose, Your Honor, is that the witness step over there in the corner of the room so that he's away from the microphone.
That's fine.
I'm sure the reporter will still be able to hear.
That's fine.
Okay, he says, my rights are being violated. I need a police officer. My access passage is blocked. Like that.
Can you describe Mr. Smith's appearance when he made those statements?
Mr. Smith appeared, if I can recall, very much as he appears today, only his demeanor was very agitated and what I would call amped.
Was there any did he make any gestures while he was making the statements?
I think similar to what I just demonstrated over there would be the gestures that he's very emotional and displays a lot of body language when he speaks.
Was he doing anything in particular with his arms?
I don't recall exactly.
How did the children react to Mr. Smith's yelling?
They whoa back. They got back and they appeared to me to be intimidated.
Objection is to the last portion is argumentative and speculative on the part of the witness.
Overruled, he's saying what they appeared to him to be.
Officer, what did you do after you observed Mr. Smith interacting with the school group?
Well, Mr. Ken Rosenberg came lickety-split across the rotunda to me and made a complaint to me about Mr. Smith, and based on the fact that I had seen what had happened, I told Mr. Rosenberg that if he did it again, I would arrest him.
And did you arrest Mr. Smith that day?
Later on within that hour, I made contact with him and yes, we did.
And did you arrest Mr. Smith based on the content of what he said?
No, sir.
Did you issue Mr. Smith a citation?
Yes.
And did you issue Mr. Smith a citation based on the content of what he said?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any cross?
Officer Steingraeber, over the months preceding November 8, 2012, is it true that this group that you described as Solidarity Singers had assembled on almost a daily basis, Monday through Thursday, in the Capitol Rotunda between noon and 1 o'clock?
That's correct.
And they would sing in the Capitol Rotunda, is that true?
That's correct.
They were singing essentially protest songs or union songs, that sort of thing, is that true?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Smith was one of the people that would assemble with them and would sing with them at that time?
Yes, sir.
And before Police Chief Irwin had been appointed, nobody was being cited for that behavior, is that true?
Objection, relevance to the citation in question?
What is the relevance of that?
Well, Your Honor, at the time that this action occurred, Mr. Smith was responding to the numerous citations that had been issued in the immediate preceding months for blocking passage or blocking access in the Capitol Rotunda. And that's what he was referencing in his statement in the Capitol Rotunda. That's why it's relevant, Your Honor, in my estimation, that at the time that Mr. Smith was speaking, he was speaking about previous deprivation of his constitutional rights to assemble peaceably in the Capitol. And that's what his statements were directed at.
Well, I think I understand that. That's different from what the prior chief was doing, so I'm going to sustain the objection because I really don't want to go down that path. I understand the context in which the statement was made. It didn't just come out of nowhere.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Officer Steingraeber, in the months preceding November 8, 2012, the Capitol Police have been issuing citations to these persons who had been assembling noon to 1, and among the citations that were issued were a number for violation of 2.14 parent 2V. Is that correct?
Objection relevancy.
Well, now he's asking if they had been issuing the tickets, not the prior. So I'll allow it because I think it does go to the context of what was happening. So that one is overruled. You can answer.
Which violation is the 2.1?
Well,
The one you referred to, you asked me the question.
Okay, 2.1, I'd ask the court to take judicial notice that 2.14 parent 2B is the citation for assembling in the Capitol Rotunda without a permit, and those citations that were designated obstruct access, comma, passage, comma, etc. Do you remember issuing citations like that?
I remember at points in my activities there, but I don't recall if they were issued prior to that date or not. I don't recall that, I'm sorry.
Do you remember issuing citations to a variety of solidarity singers for obstructing access, and the citation being designated obstruct access?
I do remember issuing citations for that, under that code, yes.
And the way that you designated the citation, the way that you wrote out it on the citation, it was described as obstruct access, passage, etc. Is that true?
I believe so.
And when Mr. Smith made the statement, my rights are being violated, I need a police officer, and my access passage is being blocked, did you construe that to be his commentary about perhaps the irony of allowing 80 to 100 school children in the Capitol Rotunda and nobody being cited, whereas the 20 to 40 solidarity singers had been cited for that sort of behavior?
That's a pretty long question, sir. With all respect, could you restate it?
Well, when you heard Mr. Smith make the statement, my rights are being violated, I need a police officer, and my access passage is being blocked, did you construe that to be a commentary upon the police officer's previous citations to members of the solidarity singers for obstructing access passage in the Capitol Rotunda?
Objection, Your Honor. He's asking for the officer to speculate.
No, just as he was asking about you asked about how the children appeared, he's asking how he took the statement. I don't know how the officer took the statement, so I'll let you guys argue about it later about what legal significance it has, but I'll let him answer the question.
Okay.
And just could I stop you for 1 second? I saw my bailiff talking to people, and I haven't been watching back there, but no comments, no laughs, no anything. People have to maintain a poker face. I don't know if they were or weren't, but just so everyone understands, as I have said before, this is a courtroom, not a vaudeville performance or something. So if anyone does that, and my bailiff indicates to me that she's observing it, they will have lost their right to continue to sit in the courtroom. So everyone's on notice. Go ahead, officer.
The answer to your question in yes or no is I recall writing that violation and issuing it to people involved in the protest.
And my question is, at the time that you heard Mr. Smith make that statement, did you construe Mr. Smith's statement to be kind of a sarcastic commentary upon the police, the Capitol Police previous policy of issuing citations for obstructing access passage in the Capitol Rotunda against solidarity singers?
I heard what he said, and I understood the meaning of it. But to answer that, yes, I think it would be construed as being sarcastic, if that's what you're getting at.
Now, at the time that you made that statement, you indicated that there were 80 to 100 children in the rotunda, and they were making a fair amount of noise. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And you were able to hear Mr. Smith's voice over the noise that the children were making.
Yes.
But the children making a considerable amount of noise as well, is that true?
Yes, sir.
And you told Mr. Rosenberg, if he says it again, I'm going to go over and arrest him, is that true?
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Smith didn't say it again, did he?
No.
So based upon your discretion, your professional judgment, at the time that Mr. Smith made that statement, that statement alone was not sufficient grounds to make an arrest at that point, isn't that true?
No, it's not true. I felt there was significant grounds to make an arrest based on what I had witnessed in the reaction that I had observed from the children. I chose to make the arrest at a later time because he did not repeat the behavior.
Well, you told Mr. Rosenberg that you were going to make an arrest if he made the statement again, isn't that true?
Yes,
And he did not make the statement again, isn't that true?
correct.
And you did not cite him at that point. It was only after you went and spoke to supervisory personnel in the Capitol Police that you then tracked down Mr. Smith and issued the citation, isn't that true?
Correct.
So the decision to make the arrest was not your decision, it was a decision that was imposed upon you or directed upon you by your superior officers, isn't that true?
No, it was, a lot of it had to do with how I felt about the incident and the cooperation that I had from the witness, Mr. Rosenberg.
Well, after Mr. Rosenberg made that statement, after Mr. Rosenberg approached you, you had told Mr. Rosenberg that if he says it again, I will arrest him, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't make that statement again, isn't that true?
Correct.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
You're done, officer.